Howdy, everyone. All right, so this is going to be another fuselage catch-up type video because obviously I've not been videotaping a whole lot, and I need to get you guys caught up on kind of where I am at the moment and where I'm going next. So the fuselage is now riveted. You can see that I have not riveted the longeron, and I am not going to while it's upside down. When I'm ready to rivet the longeron, I'm going to make sure that I have it right side up before I do that, just because it's easier. And I know there are particular rivets that you can rivet right now on the longeron, but they're so far and few between, I don't see the point of rushing to do that at this point. So I'm just going to leave the longeron clecoed, and I'm also going to leave the majority of the firewall clecoed for now, but I'll get back to that here in a second. Everything else is riveted, and of course, now that I'm actually videotaping and talking to you about it, I can't think of anything worth talking about. But let me think. All right, so here is the corner. Maybe I'll go to the other side. Maybe the lighting's better over here. So this corner here, where the conical bend is, where are you? Here you are. This corner right here, there's a bulkhead inside that runs vertical right here. And then there's a tab that bends and comes across that these two rivets here hold in place. Now, that side, because I didn't get this bent very well, what happened basically, if you can imagine this corner bend starting higher up on the aluminum. So when this sheet is flat, this curved area sticks up like this, basically, right? And this bend, I started higher up on that, or I'm sorry, I started higher up on that bend than I should have. So that ended up making the gap between this bend, after this was bent and laying flat, there was a gap between it and the tab that comes across here. So I had to make a spacer to take up that gap, because if I were to just rivet these down and squish all that together, there would have been a pretty noticeable dip right here. You know what? Let me get underneath. I don't think the lighting is going to be that great, but let me see if I can show you what I'm talking about. So here is that vertical piece, and these are the two rivets that I was just talking about. And you can see I got a couple of spacers in here to take up the gap between this flange and the bottom of this corner. And like I said, the reason that is like that is because I didn't get the conical bend tight enough so that this corner brace can lay down flat. So to take up that distance, I had to make spacers. I doubt that makes any sense, but something to think about when you're doing your conical bend. You want to bend that down nice and tight so that you don't have to run spacers up in there. That was one thing that I've remembered. Let me think. I already talked about the longerons. I'm going to leave those clecoed for now. I am not going to rivet those quite yet. Oh, let me think. Of course, you've got your various rivets everywhere. You've got, this is going to be a pop rivet. You got some bolts that go here. Got a countersunk screw that goes here. You've got a couple of more bolts here for the fuel tank attach bracket. So you have to pay real close attention. I say this quite often, but pay really close attention to the rivet callouts, because there are different sizes. There are some diameters of -3 and -4 that are in here. Of course, there are different lengths. A lot of times, just as an example, this is not necessary. Well, like here, these will be one length here, but this actually on the inside, it jumps up over the piece of metal that's underneath here. So this one rivet is going to be longer than these rivets and longer than these rivets. So just things like that. Just pay close attention to your rivet call outs on the plans. So here's where I am now. These tabs are new. This is a new method of installing the bottom of the cowling. Vans had just come out with this, and what had happened for me, I had ordered my finishing kit, and while the finishing kit was being assembled and shipped to me, they came out with this change. And the only way that I noticed it was I was going through, what was I looking at? I think I was looking at my newly acquired thumb drive from Vans that has all the plans and prints and instructions on it. And I noticed the instructions on that said something about these parts. And when I looked on my prints that I had just gotten, they weren't on there. So I called Vans, and it basically was that they had incorporated this, and my finishing kit had been put together and shipped before they had a chance to include it. So they did send me the written instructions and all the parts and everything for free, so that I can do this change. All kits that will be coming out currently, they'll automatically have all this in them. However, in my excitement, I went ahead and riveted these tabs in place on my firewall, and I did not put any firewall sealant in here. So I think I've decided to go ahead and drill out these 10 rivets here and these 10 rivets here. Take all the remaining clecos off, and then I'm going to go ahead and see if I can separate these two skins a little bit and get some fire stop sealant around this perimeter. And then I'll go ahead and put it back together and re-rivet these. So it sucks, but it's a relatively easy fix. By this point, most of us are probably masters at drilling out rivets, so taking these out is just a little tedious. It's not the end of the world. I don't think I'll damage anything because, like I said, I can't speak for everybody, but I've drilled out my share of rivets, and it's gotten to the point now where it's no big deal for me. So I'll do that, and that's kind of where I am now. I'm just going to get that taken off, get those taken off, get the fire stop sealant back in there, put those back on, and then it's flip time. I'll come out here and flip this right side up and then take on whatever comes next. All right, so let me get going, and I will talk to you guys later.